Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Infinite Danger Room. I'm Matt Price. I'm here with Chris Borthick, and today we're going to take a little dive into a galaxy far, far away. We're going to talk about Solo, a Star Wars story, the Ron Howard-directed film that opened in theaters as we're recording this just this weekend. And it had sort of a troubled production. The original directors were removed halfway through. So how does that turn out? What does that look like? Is it worth seeing? Chris and I are going to kind of talk about that. So let's dive into it, Chris. You saw Solo here this weekend. What do you think? Star Wars neophytes, for Star Wars deep dive people? Who's this film for, and how did it work?
Well, I think you can have this is one of those unique Star Wars films where you could be Star Wars neophyte and enjoy this film and get some backstory and maybe want to go check out some of the old material. I also think the old school Star Wars people are going to appreciate this. At least I hope so. I feel like it's a really good, true to what we know in continuity dive into the backstory of Han Solo and Chewbacca, the Millennium Falcon, and Lando Calrissian. It's got a great cast. It's a well-paced heist movie in space, I guess is what you would call it. But it's really good, I think.
So I mean, here are, I guess, probably some of the, elephants in the room if you want to look at them. How does Alden Ehrenreich, I might be saying his name wrong, how does he do as Han Solo? What did you think? I mean, Han Solo was such an iconic character. He's only been played by Harrison Ford. At this point, it's not like James Bond where 7 people have played him. Right. Maybe it will be at some point. But at this point, he's very much associated with Harrison Ford. What did you think about, were you able to separate this from being Harrison Ford? Were you able to enjoy it on his own terms?
Definitely. I mean, I think the way they, probably the costuming, the hair design, etc., of him as an actor and a character harkens back to the original Harrison Ford appearance in Star Wars: A New Hope. He looks very true to the character, and I didn't have much trouble suspending disbelief on the fact that he was Han Solo, just a younger version of him. He kind of looks a little bit like a younger version of Harrison Ford anyway. So I didn't have too much trouble divorcing myself and or marrying the two concepts for sure. So he does a good job.
I had come into it wanting Anthony Ingruber.
Okay.
From Age of Adeline. I know he's not as well known of an actor, but he really looks and sounds
more like
a young Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
There may have been reasons they didn't want to do that. I mean, I don't know what all they might be. But I will say there were places in this movie where he either he smiles a certain way or leans a certain way, and you're like, okay, that's kind of he's picked up certain Harrison Ford mannerisms at least, or maybe Han Solo mannerisms where you're like, okay, he doesn't really look like him. Like if you're putting these two people in a lineup and said, are these the same guy or are they even related? You'd be like, no. But
well, see, I thought with the hairstyle and some of the costuming that I didn't find that as abrasive, like I was just saying.
Yeah.
So I mean, but no, I mean they're not identical twins or anything. But I liked him, and I thought he looked close enough.
If you look at Han Solo like a James Bond, like okay, every 20 years we're going to recast this and do it again, he's certainly in the same mold. It's not like it's way off model.
Right.
It's less far than say from Roger Moore to Daniel Craig. I mean, they look less alike than Harrison Ford and Alden Ehrenreich.
Right. But I'm also just trying to primarily go with what did Harrison Ford look like in New Hope? I mean, and not so much Harrison Ford now because he's changed a lot. But I mean, they're somewhat similar as far as I was concerned. Again, it didn't bother me that much. This is just going to be one of the things you have to run with anyway when you have prequels, because
you can't get the same people and
you can't get Harrison Ford to be Han Solo at this point unless they make it an animated series. So
let's see, I liked Chewbacca. I thought he moved differently. I mean, I thought you could tell, okay, this is a more athletic Chewbacca, and but I think that allowed you to do some things that maybe you didn't do with Chewbacca as much. And Chewbacca was mainly intimidating by his size,
right? But
he doesn't do a ton of real physical stuff in the movies,
right?
But in this movie, he really does, and that was interesting to see.
Well, yeah, Jonas Suotamo, and because I saw him in the behind-the-scenes footage for the last two Star Wars movies. I mean, he's really tall, but he's a really athletic guy, and he's young. So I imagine they took full advantage of that because, yeah, he's very action. He's much more action than Chewbacca normally is, for sure.
Which I think gives you a whole other element of story you can do. Let's see. What were some other things you liked?
Well, I really liked how Han and Chewbacca meet and kind of team up to get out of jail, so to speak. I liked the Woody Harrelson character. I thought he was an interesting addition. Lando is played by Glover.
Yeah, Donald Glover. Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, he's pretty great.
Amazing job. The backstory was pretty cool. Probably the weakest part for me was the, and I get it is at the core of Han Solo being in love with the woman that he had to leave behind, and he's going back for her after all these years, and that's one of his primary motivations. I know they were trying to set up everything real fast, but I would have liked to have seen a little more at the beginning to make me see how invested they were.
Yeah. And somebody said there is a novel that maybe came out that covers that relationship.
Oh, okay.
So that might be of interest to people who really want to dig more into that.
Right.
Obviously, you can't say, well, if you should put in the movie what you want in the movie,
right.
But
yeah, you should tell me if there's a reading list before I have to see the movie.
But I did hear there was a novel about that because I thought it kind of happens quickly as well. I mean, it's in the very beginning of the movie.
Right.
Slightly spoilery. They do fill in a lot of backstory, like what's the Kessel Run and how did he get the Millennium Falcon and stuff like that, which is okay for them to do. I mean, I think that's something that's part of these prequel movies. The way he got named was a little anticlimactic to me.
That was a little odd. Yeah.
I mean, I would almost rather just either that's his name or he picked it. The fact that, it was a little too on the nose for me personally, but hey, I don't make the big bucks decisions. I don't know. I assume that was something the Kasdans came up with in the screenplay.
Probably.
But to me, that was a little on the nose. Because he does talk about his father and knowing his father. So unless he just meant, well, my father's dead, I don't have any people. I don't know. Just seems like he would have had a name at some point.
Right. It sort of lends a weird mystery to Han Solo now. It's like, well, who is your dad then? Who? Do you just hate him, or is he a bad person? What's going on?
Or did they? It seems like probably they died, but I don't know that they officially said that. Okay, and then the Division.
The Paul Bettany.
Paul Bettany. He was a good creep. He plays a good creep.
Yeah, he's fantastic. It was funny. I had seen an interview with Paul Bettany where he said that he basically texted Ron Howard and said, "You know what a Han Solo movie needs? Me." And Ron Howard texted him back, "Haha, I'll get back to you." And sure enough, here's Paul Bettany in Star Wars.
So was he not in the original cast? Was he added when they?
I think he may have. I don't know when they added him. I just know that he apparently got wind of it and was like, "I want to be in this movie." So, why would you not want to be in the movie?
Sure.
So.
It's basically it's a fun heist movie set in a sci-fi fantasy universe.
Right.
There's not any Jedi, I don't think, in this. Well,
there's
very,
one.
very spoilery. There's kind of one, but for the most part, the whole Skywalker Jedi saga, you don't need to know anything about that.
Right.
For this film, it's just a kid who grows up without anything, gets away from his home world, ends up falling in with these outlaws. That's pretty much the whole thing. So you don't really have to know anything about the Star Wars mythos to get into this. And I think if you don't, honestly, I think kids that don't know anything about Star Wars or haven't, are probably going to enjoy this as much as anybody.
Agreed.
That if you're just a kid who wants to play with a Han Solo and a Chewbacca action figure flying around the Millennium Falcon, this movie gives you plenty of reason to want to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And but I also think the diehard aficionados, of course, you can't make everybody happy, so there will be some people griping out there. But, from a continuity standpoint of what we've known of Han Solo and his backstory, this just fills it in, but it doesn't really alter anything in any measurable sense, I would think. So, the prequel thing and prequels to me always suffer from this one failing in that you're pretty sure who's going to live.
Right.
So, it's not a surprise that Han, Chewie, and Lando make it out. it's not a surprise that the Falcon makes it out and he ends up owning it. But it is a cool historical piece on how it all happened, I guess. So I will say that one thing they did really well, and now we're going to spoilers. So stop listening if you haven't seen it yet. I'm really interested in the Crimson Dawn, which they established as a big criminal organization. I am interested in our young lady character who's now in charge of that, Han's former love. And, of course, I'm interested in what on earth is Darth Maul doing in charge of the Crimson Dawn. So...
Well, it's set up for a sequel pretty easily. And
sure.
I mean, if they want to do Solo 2 or whatever, the pieces are in place to revisit all of those things.
Yeah, or do they want to do something completely different, and they're just setting it up for that?
I don't know. I mean, you could have a Darth Maul movie. I think they're going to have a Boba Fett movie. There's been talk of a Lando movie.
Well, and there's always and then the Game of Thrones crew is supposed to be doing a TV show, so that could play into this. You can't really, but so they pretty much open the door to some more stories with this group, so which would be great.
Do you think there are other characters we should be seeing? What do you think about how they're treating Star Wars as a property at this point? You've got the main Skywalker saga films.
Sure.
And then you've got kind of the one-offs like your Rogue One or possibly Solo, which could become a thing with sequels or whatever. You think it's the best way to treat it? Do you think people are getting too much Star Wars? Do you think some of the Solo maybe not doing as well as they thought has to do with people being disappointed with Last Jedi? I mean, what do you think?
Well, I do think that's part of it. I think Solo took a big hit with all the director shakeup and the pushbacks and the casting and the rumors, and there was talk that the cast had to have acting lessons, which doesn't inspire confidence. But I also think a little bit of it has to do with maybe what we've seen from Last Jedi and its disappointment. I rewatched Last Jedi to kind of a while back to kind of see what I thought of it on the second time through, and I may like it less now that I've seen it again. I always question. I mean, everybody loves Rian Johnson supposedly for what he did, but I always question if your big move is to gut some of the canon characters to establish a new order. There's ways to do that without killing fan favorites off, which makes people mad. As witnessed by the fury of the internet. But, so I don't know. I mean, but do we need new blood? For sure. Do we need to have new stories? Are there plenty of places to go tell a new story? Yes. I mean, when we didn't have Star Wars movies, we had Knights of the Old Republic with a video game, which was insanely popular and has spun off into an online game that's still going on. There's an era there that you could explore. We had all of the novels that are not canon anymore with Thrawn and all of those characters, though Thrawn is canon, thank God. There's all sorts of other stories to be told, and I don't think that you betray anything by moving over in a different direction and saying, well, over in this area of the galaxy, this is going on, because I mean, it would be like saying, if you're doing a story about America, but you're only talking about 4 people. I mean, there's a whole litany of aliens, there's a whole litany of civilizations, and there's a whole lot of different stories you could tell. So I don't know. I feel like the Solo thing to me was that's one of the things I really liked about it was a non-Jedi slice of what happened in the world when the Jedi went away. What are normal people usually having to deal with? What is it like? I mean, and so I appreciated it.
Yeah, it did get you a little closer to sort of the man on the street versus something where all these people that are Jedis and very separated from maybe the average person's life in the universe at that time. So I enjoyed a lot of it. I mean, I think it's kind of it's not necessarily a huge watermark for the saga or anything, but I think if you're just grading it on was this a fun space heist movie that I could spend a couple hours watching? Yeah, it was fine. I was having a discussion with somebody earlier today that said maybe we are asking too much of our Star Wars films a little bit. Maybe we should just, if they are entertaining for a couple hours, It may not be the case that we as grown men at this point can have it as intrinsic to our DNA as what those original films were 20, 30 years ago. Well, it may just not be possible. So,
right. Well, and the other thing that's that I will say about Solo compared to the other Star Wars story movie is it is less depressing.
Yes.
So thumbs up for that. As to what they've got planned, I'm gonna be the weird fan that says I don't care about a Boba Fett movie. I find that character to be less interesting the more they've defined him. So he was way cool when he was just
when you didn't know anything about him,
when he was the bad bounty hunter. But now I'm just like, now Obi-Wan Kenobi as a movie would be fantastic. I think
there's a lot of room in Obi-Wan Kenobi's story where we don't really know what he was doing.
Right.
That I think would lend itself to having a pretty good film.
And they've hinted that they're going to use some of the Rebels TV show as canon. There was a rumor that recently circulated that Thrawn was going to show up in the next Star Wars movie, so that would be kind of cool. So there's a lot of stuff they can do, and Kenobi actually does make a cameo in Rebels as well. So yeah, there's definitely things you can do and pick up on. And I also don't think they should be afraid to maybe even go back further to where, we don't have guaranteed characters that are going to live. Like, that was my problem with the first prequels, which was, when Obi-Wan Kenobi shows up, it's like, well, I think he's going to be fine.
He's probably going to be all right.
But there's stories to be told. There's epic battles of good and evil if you want to do them. But I think they probably need to flesh all of that out a little bit and not be afraid to go new directions.
Are we getting too much Star Wars right now? I mean, Disney obviously spent a lot on the property, wants to make its money, and they have made a lot of money on it. Are 2 Star Wars movies a year or whatever they're doing, is that more Star Wars than what the market will bear?
Well, it depends, I think, on the quality of what you give us. Because, you can flip that and compare it to the Marvel movies where, you could give us 3 Marvel movies in a year and we're ecstatic and they all do really well. But they're also all really, really good and really well done. Whereas, Star Wars Last Jedi suffers a lot from a lot of criticism and a lot of people, being disappointed in it with not a lot of reasons. So, that could have took a lot of the fire out of, I'm going to run and see Solo. But which I think is unfortunate.
And some of the bad buzz probably too.
Bad buzz. But I think that's unfortunate because to me it is a good movie overall. It is a good space heist movie. Just don't look for lightsabers to be flying all over the place.
I feel like, and maybe Solo's a step in that direction, the Marvel Universe is much broader, even though Star Wars is supposedly a whole galaxy.
Right.
The flavors of things you get in Marvel are more varied than the flavor of things you get in Star Wars.
I agree, and there's so much you could do. I mean, as a complete Star Wars nerd who has had a role-playing game that has all these supplements and knows all of the backstory things that could be being used in these movies and is not. I mean, there's places in that galaxy that would be amazing to explore. There's civilizations that you could touch on. You could have more aliens around. There's a lot of stuff you could do, and you're right. They're not broadening out. I mean, the Marvel movies are successful because they go everywhere on the Marvel Universe planet. They're not afraid to incorporate all of these different characters, all of these different types of stories. They do humor and they do action, which I don't think Star Wars has really mastered all that well just yet. They're not as, like, a comedy Star Wars movie would be a weird thing to see right now. So, done well, it would be okay, but...
All right. Well, so I guess to wrap up, I thought I enjoyed Solo.
I did too.
Basically, if it didn't have Han Solo's name on it, and you were just like Space Ranger or whatever, I would still think, hey, this is a fun heist movie. I had a good time watching this for a couple hours. For sure.
But, it does have the Millennium Falcon. It does have Chewbacca. It does have Lando. It does have Han. So, I mean, it is to me, it's a good addition to the Star Wars prequel world. So, I liked it. Thumbs up. Go see it.
All right. So, what did you think? We'd love to hear your thoughts as well. You can leave us a rating or review on iTunes. You can tweet at us at Danger Infinite, or come find us on Facebook. We're Infinite Danger Room there. You can also listen to the show at SoundCloud or at newsok.com, where you can also leave us a comment there if you'd like. And like I said, we'd love to hear what you hear about Solo or any of our other show topics over the course of the months and years that we've been bringing the show to you. So for Chris Borthick, I am Matthew Price. Thank you for listening.